The Russian mafia guy daughter's wedding. What was the guy's name? Just kidding. You don't have to tell me his name. Hey, this is Party Like a Rockstar Podcast, and I'm your host, Joel. Today's episode is brought to you by Misha's Kind Foods. They're an LA-based small business making the world's finest non-dairy cheese on the market today. They're lactose-free, paleo, keto, kosher, Parev, and 100% vegan. If you like what you see, check out the next video. If you like this video, please subscribe and like by clicking the little round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or other guests on the show, go to joelrody.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle is Joel Rody. If you haven't already read my book, Memoir of a Roadie, it's now available through Amazon and paperback Kindle or as an audiobook. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, let's give it a go. Josiah Ronco is a backline tech.
Yeah.
He's doing mostly keyboard and guitar teching. Recently, he told me he did violin teching, which I'll have to ask. I've never met a violin tech. Or he pretty much does whatever the hell Zito makes him do. He's worked for Paramore, Celtic Thunder, Neon Trees, All American Rejects, One Republic, New Kids on the Block, Gym Class Heroes, Taking Back Sunday, A Day to Remember, Under Oath, and The Devil Wears Prada. Zito is a production manager who came up through the ranks as a sound guy and occasionally a tour manager. He has toured with Green Day, Blink-182, Ariana, Grande, Josh Groban, One Republic, Sia, Backstreet Boys, Babyface, Peter Frampton, New Kids on the Block, Nick Carter, Plain White Tees, Nick Carter's, The Plain White Tees, Good Charlotte, Sum 41, Tim McGraw, and Faith Hill. So my first question to you, Zito, is now that you're famous because you have all these awards being offered to you on a daily basis, do you look to your right and see Thomas O'Keefe and go, man, do I feel grounded?
I don't have a book. I don't have a tell-all book like yeah. You know, Mr. Keefe has his book, his book from back in the days of working for who was it? It was
I should know this too.
Ryan. Yeah. Oh my God. Whiskey Town and Ryan Adams.
Ryan Adams. Yeah, it was. He did good on his book. It was, I don't know. Did you guys watch the one with him on it?
No, I didn't see his. I'm still waiting for my autographed copy though. He said it's in the mail, so I've been, waiting expectantly.
Josiah will use his pull. He'll reach out to him and say, hey, boss man's calling. All right. So Polestar Awards, you're the Road Warrior of the Year. Are you going to be raising your rates?
Absolutely. Yep, 100%.
Josiah's the money
already
guy
did.
now here.
Already did.
Josiah's the money guy, so he would have told you to do it too.
Yeah, Josiah, you want to be my agent now that you're retired?
You're big muck over here.
I'll do it for a very small commission. Yeah,
I'll negotiate it.
I didn't even know about this, Zito. What, you won Road Warrior of the Year with Polestar?
Nominated for Polestar Road Warrior of the Year.
So you didn't know about it because he's awesome. No longer eating with the rest of the crew. He sits in his own.
Yeah, I'm in the other. Can we do a graphic? Can you do like this big graphic that like pops up? It's like Road Warrior of the Year.
Do we have the budget for that, Josiah? I don't know. I need help. I actually don't know how to do a lot of that stuff. I'm getting better. I just figured out how to put this red thing that says subscribe with an arrow. It took me all day to figure it out, but YouTube is your friend.
Yeah.
So, learning a little bit here and there. So, all right, to jump into it, the Russian mafia guy daughter's wedding. What was the guy's name? Just kidding. You don't have to tell me his name. But I do like to ask people what are some of their more eventful or fun gigs. And I have had some winners, and mafia Russian guys have come up more than just this one, actually. So what's some of the more interesting gigs you guys have done? And then if you can tell me a little bit about that one, because it is probably pretty entertaining.
Is that the one are you talking about the one in Italy? Sardinia? Was that?
we did one with Babyface. That was the Russian Mafia's daughter's wedding. I think they do. No. But we did. Okay, so one of the more interesting ones that I did with Josiah, it was a billionaire's $300 million yacht in the middle of the ocean in Croatia, and he had his $300 million yacht parked in the Cope, and then he had his like $150 million yacht, and then he had his like $100 million yacht that served as like guest quarters, and then he would come over and do the party, and he brought in like 60 models to come just hang out on the boat and dance. It was a bizarre gig.
That had to be the craziest thing I've ever done as well. That was nuts. That was such a wild experience.
What was the catering like? That one's for Batty. Batty always loves his catering. So what's the catering like?
Actually, I don't know that did we even get to eat on the boat? I remember them doing food for the band. Those gigs are so stupid because you're playing it for some reason. It's cool to play it like 2 a.m. or something. I don't get it. So we didn't even go to the boat till, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. We went early in the day, set everything up, and then went back at like 10 o'clock at night. I don't remember them feeding us at all on the boat, but I remember a spread for the band that was over the top with all the bottles of champagne, and that was crazy. We didn't get any of that.
I'm sure I pillaged that after the show. Yeah.
So, Josiah, I, in my entire career, have never met anybody that can eat more than Josiah. And he's the skinniest guy, but this guy can eat. And I appreciate his no waste mentality. Josiah's propensity for pillage, as we would call it. The band leaves the dressing room. He's bolts and he gets down the hall, and man, he just everything, a half jar of peanut butter, 3/4 of a loaf of bread, a couple of Cliff bars. I mean, this dude would take it all. Just saying, now that you're not touring, you're gonna have to pay for groceries again.
I know, it's crazy. That's probably one of the worst things about leaving. Just kidding. It was funny.
What's the secret to your success? But it's just a lot of pooping.
It's funny. I think we just finished the last bottle of wine that I had from the One Republic Cellars.
You have to go back on the road.
I know, right? Actually, my wife loves telling people this story that we got married in our backyard, and I think all of the liquor from the wedding was leftover liquor from One Republic's dressing room. I'm not even kidding. Like 16 bottles of booze or something like that we went through, and it was all of it was from One Republic's dressing room.
That's awesome.
I made it very clear to Josiah up front that I was not paying for a second bag every week for him to get his extra food home. That one was on him.
So true. Hey, where are you right now, Zito?
Rochester. Oh, okay, Josiah. I remember a good gig story. Do you remember the time that we almost ended up in Russian jail because we stole Putin's food?
I did not do that gig in Russia.
That was another one you didn't do.
That was like something. Didn't you guys do like half playback?
Yeah, we did a charter in, and I thought you were there. We played this national youth convention in Russia, and Putin was really the guy to introduce the band. Like, he is literally like, ladies and gentlemen, One Republic. But we had to get there in the morning super early, and we were there from 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't play till 11 o'clock at night, but there's something because of the Secret Service and the movement of people in and out. They had us there really early. Well,
because you won the award?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Right. That's what happens when you win the award. You now get to sit in a venue for 19 hours a day. Yeah. So we had nothing to eat, and I'm losing my mind. I get hangry real bad, and I'm like, we've been here all day and there's no food. But the Secret Service had shut down all the kitchens in the venue, and they weren't letting things go. They wouldn't let us bring pizza in or anything. And I'm hammering on the translators, on the girls. I'm like, you've got to get us food. My guys have been here now for 10 hours. We haven't had anything to eat. Okay. So they roll this cart in and put it in front of us, and we start lifting the cloches off of the food, and it's these beautiful steaks and pieces of fish. The vegetables are gorgeous, and we're literally so hungry. The guys are grabbing fillets and just like eating them like like a hamburger, mowing down on this stuff. And we're like, wow, this is incredible. About 3 minutes later, this old Russian lady comes running into the room, and she is crying and yelling and just visibly upset. She's so upset. And I'm like, but I can hear her talking, and I keep hearing her say, Putin, Putin. And she is grabbing the food out of our hands, like literally grabbing the food and putting it on the tray and throwing the cloches back on, and storms out of the room with it. And I said to the translator, I was like, what just happened? She's like, well, we were walking around the hallway and we saw a cart of food, so we just grabbed it. And apparently this was the food that was supposed to go up to Putin's suite before the show. You just ate Putin's food.
Wow.
I just picture you with like a steak hanging out of your mouth and like, whoa.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe I've never heard this story.
Really?
So what did Putin get to
so
eat?
Funny.
That's a good question. That poor lady's in Siberia now, though.
Yeah. That's her last One Republic gig.
Actually, the story doesn't end there. I'll tell the abbreviated version, but the stage was the entire arena floor, and so there was no arena floor. They built the stage all the way out, and in the center of the stage, because there was all these different events that were happening, was this gigantic 20-foot circular lift, and the lift would come up the stage level, and you would do your performance, and then it would go down below, and there were these chutes where all the gear is stored. So every band or like performance had a chute. And so we went earlier in the day, we got all this stuff set up and put all the stuff in the chute. And the only way to get out to the lift was to crawl underneath the stage from the corner of the arena, 100 feet to the middle, and you get up in there. And so the plan was Putin was going to introduce the band. This big platform was down below the stage level. And he was supposed to dedicate on, ladies and gentlemen, World Republic, and the lift was going to come up and the band was going to be performing Counting Stars. Well, this all happens exactly how it's supposed to. Ladies and gentlemen, One Republic, and the lift starts to go up, and this lift was a circle, and it had 4 pistons on this circle, right? And so it starts coming up like this, and one of the pistons doesn't fire, and the stage starts going like this, and all the gear in the band are starting to slide. So I'm yelling, stop, you gotta stop. And nobody speaks English. And this guy over on the side, he hits the emergency e-stop, and the whole thing just stops like this, and it's all tilted and cattywampus. And we're like, oh, what is happening? So band stops playing. This thing is, I get the band off, and we're holding the gear in place. And meanwhile, this thing is supposed to be live on TV. The reason we did it was supposed to be live, like 150 million people across Russia. And so at this point, I get the band off, I get them off to the side, and they're trying to get it all leveled back out, and they get it to come back down. And it's just dead quiet in the arena. And I'm like looking at this guy, I'll never forget ever looking over at the operator for the lift. And he is grabbing his hair, going like this, and he's got this look on his face, and he's like, "This isn't gonna work at all." So I told 2 of the guys, the singer and the guitar player, like, get out and go up top, right? So I get them to go out. They crawl all the way back down. They get up on the stage, and they go up top. And we did the song with the 2 guys up on top of the stage and the band down on the lift below, because they couldn't get it to go up. And so when we got on the jet at the end of the night, we're heading back, like we felt like we had our asses handed to us. And I asked the translator, how was the TV broadcast? And she goes, oh, it didn't go to TV. It took so long that they cut away from the show and they never aired the band's performance. Oh, wow. So that whole reason we did it, never even aired.
Wow. I can't believe I didn't know about this.
That's a shit show.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Man.
What about Saudi Arabia? That sounds interesting.
That was interesting. We were only there like 18 hours, I think. Right?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think because we got, wait, you were there, right?
Yep. This is my last show with One Republic.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, because we had all kinds of crazy delays, and like we got in at like 4 a.m, and then we slept for a couple hours and then did the gig, and then we stayed at the venue until, because our flight was at like 2 a.m. or whatever.
Yep. We were the first, it was the first Western concert in like 50 years or something that they had done in Saudi Arabia, and they actually allowed men and women to be together. It was
crazy.
Really, really cool. It was super moving to be a part of.
So how many?
They got a long ways to go as a society. 60,000 or something. It was a lot. Yeah.
It's a big show. Wasn't it also like the first public kind of concert or something like that, right? In like ever?
Like 50 years, first Western concert. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
What a cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember getting I got emotional for that one for sure.
Did you take any food back?
I'm sure I took lots of food.
What was your haul? What was your Saudi haul?
I probably loaded all of the hummus in my suitcase.
Stick it in your shoes.
I remember the food was super good though, for real.
Yeah.
Like
very much.
The catering was so good. Yeah.
No pizza in Saudi Arabia, huh?
I don't think so. No.
Oh man, how bad is the pizza around some of the rest of the world?
Pretty bad.
You can't get good Mexican food.
Oh, Mexican food. Yeah, I don't do that. That's never good. I've never ever had an experience where I was surprised. I pretty much got what I expected.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, pleasantly.
I think we had. I remember us getting pizza in France one time that had chunks of brie on it, and I thought that was pretty amazing. It was very unique. Like I wouldn't want that all the time, but
I've had that and I liked it. It
was good. I liked it.
Yeah. So I listened to one of the podcasts you did, Josiah, and it was actually about the property stuff that you've been getting into. And
was that REtipster, the REtipster podcast?
I didn't write it down. I should have written it down. He was like, it was about property, but then he just kept asking you about touring. And then I was like,
yeah, he was really interested.
He was like super interested. What do you do? You know, you're like, the instruments and stuff. And so it was, but it was, you said that you went down with New Kids on the Block, you went down to South America. So I kind of remember this tour hitting. What I remember about it was a damn big tour. And
that's how I met Zito.
That was the first tour you guys did?
Yeah.
That was how I met Zito. Yeah.
So did you guys know Zito, I guess, or the people behind the curtains? Did they know this was going to be really big? I mean, all the promoters have to book the show, so I assume so. But I know it did really, really well. Was that a surprise, like a nice surprise, or was that expected?
No, because those bands always do well. Like we did South America.
South America. So where did you go? Like everywhere down there?
Yeah, I think we did like a dozen cities, right? I remember Peru, Brazil.
Yeah, it was like we were down there like 3 weeks. Yeah.
That would be so neat.
It was awesome. It was crazy.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
That tour, somebody had the great idea to, I think like all of our backline was rented, including like guitars and cables. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Were you taking the gear though from gig to gig throughout South America or no?
No.
Oh, rough.
No.
So every time you have no idea what you're going to get.
Yeah. So every time I'm like, guitars would show up with maybe there were strings on them, maybe there were strap locks, maybe the pickups worked. You know, it was the cables. I mean, literally renting all of the cables. It was brutal. So I'm like testing, and half the cables would be bad every day, of course. You know.
So how much longer did load and take you than normal? Would have taken double the time easy?
Oh, I don't know, forever. I worked all day. That actually, you probably didn't realize how much I ate yet on that tour, because I actually didn't eat that much on that tour because I was like, I didn't have time to. I was just working all day.
Did they even ask for their gear back, or is it like you guys can just have it?
Oh, they're super protective, right? Because that's all they have. Yeah. Like these backline companies down there, they don't have a ton of gear, And it really impressed me with Josiah, because that was one of the things that stood out to me. They were cheap. New Kids was cheap when it came to that, because it was all about the 5 guys, and the band was a hired gun. So that's why they were like, screw it, we'll just get them stuff down there. They don't need to carry their stuff. We don't want to pay for it. And Josiah would spend all day setting up these basses, these guitars, resoldering stuff, connections. Drums were a disaster. I mean, everything every day for these techs. They had to try to scrape it together. And I was like, wow, I don't know how you do this with consistency, because it wasn't even like, can we get a JCM 1000 everywhere? It was like, can we get an amplifier that produces sound, right? Period.
Yeah.
Like anything. Yeah. They did a great job.
Anything with an effects loop, just anything. Yeah.
And the acoustic guitars were horrendous. I won't forget that. They all were shit.
Yeah. It was brutal. I remember going specifically in Santiago, going to one of the backline companies because like they kept bringing the wrong stuff. And I was just like, can you just take me to your shop? Because it was like 5 minutes away. And I mean, it was a glorified shed in somebody's backyard was this. I mean, that's all it was. And it was just a mess of stuff, everything in cardboard boxes or nothing at all. That was crazy. That was not, I remember it was similar. Nate Warshowsky was the drum tech on that.
Yeah.
And it was rough every day. Every freaking day.
Our playback guy got food poisoning really bad.
Yes.
And ended up running one of the shows, like literally couldn't stand. He was so weak and he was vomiting. And he put the laptop on the ground next to him, and he just laid there hitting the space bar, and he would roll over and puke off the side of the riser and then keep going. I don't know how he did it, but he was sick.
Montezuma's Revenge when I was in Mexico.
Yeah. Of course.
That hurt. That was, and I got sick in Egypt too. Those were my 2 worst. But Montezuma's Revenge. Wow. Just curled up on my
butt.
Kick my butt. It kick everything, especially the butt. Yeah. That was a problem. So Josiah's resume here, this was kind of funny. He wrote here, I'm assuming you haven't read this, Zito, but I am a positive, friendly, and respectful person that does not cause friction in the close quarters and long hours of touring domestically and internationally. And I'm like, that's a guy who's done a lot of tours in a bus.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of that.
I think I actually sent that resume. That's from like 2019 or something. I definitely sent that to Zito for critique. So he had some hand and
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
It's important. Yeah, I mean, that's important, how you get along with other people on the road. Yeah. Most people don't realize, like, touring, right? It's not just about what you do, the hours you're working alongside somebody. It's about the hours you're not working. When you're on the bus, you're interviewing people and hiring people and thinking about how they're going to vibe together. Because you can have one person that's amazing at their gig, but they're such a pain in the ass to be around. It's not worth it. So it plays a huge part in my decision making as a production manager, who I hire. Like, I've had some amazing folks that just are stellar at their job that I won't hire because they're difficult to work with, or they're miserable to be around, or they bitch and complain, and that's a cancer that spreads really fast in touring.
Yeah. Well, if you're always walking around miserable, then it pawns off to the next guy, and then everybody's bitching and nobody's happy.
Yep.
It's fast.
Yep.
What's that thing? Isn't there an Alice Cooper quote that's like something like, there's a million people that can play my songs on the guitar, but there's not many that I would spend more than 2 hours on a tour bus with, something like that. I think that was Alice Cooper said something like that. That always resonated with me. I really like that.
Yeah. We had, do you remember Davey Kirkwood? Did you ever work with him, Zito? Old sound fella, old sound guy. And he passed away. So he would drink all day. He was an old Scotsman who would just drink all day. And he would snore when he went to sleep, like, whew. And it was tough on the bus with him because it was, I swear the bus would shake, My personal one that was rough was, the production manager smoked cigarettes. You can smoke cigarettes on the bus. And I hated that, man. That was the one that was rough for me.
No.
Yeah. No go.
Oh, man.
Those days are going away, my friend. There's not many of that left, thankfully. Those days are going away.
The cigarette stuff was tough. Yeah, I guess now it's replaced with weed. All these guys are coming on. They're like, yeah, we smoke weed during the day on the job and everything. And I'm kind of like, what has happened? This is nuts to me. Anyway, so you have a couple, I'm going to say side projects going on, Zito. I don't know if that's the best words for it, actually, but these apps on the phone that you created are kind of cool to me. And you said, I heard you in the interview that I listened to where you brought up, this isn't to make money. This is to like make stuff make sense. And in a lot of ways, the touring industry,
right?
I haven't toured in a long time, but is archaic. There's a lot to move forward with.
Yes.
I don't think the lighting companies and the sound companies have thought about. There's little things. So one of them would be your napkin sketch stage and Event Runner Pro.
Yep.
With the napkin sketch, that was kind of cool. And then the one I liked you were talking about on this was that you have an app, or is it a program? I wasn't quite sure, where the PA will know like what the roadies want on the bus in instant time. And that way they can be like standing in Vaughn's and be like, okay, get another bag of Funyuns or whatever.
Yeah. So my production coordinator for a long time was a guy named Saters, who ditched me to be a programmer. He works for Master Tour. And I always thought the system of bus stock was archaic. Anything that's archaic to me needs to be, I can't roll with it. In writing, anything that has to get written down by hand manually is a waste of time, effort, and energy. And that was always one of the things, the bus stock list, a piece of paper on the bus that people are scribbling shit on. You can't read it. And now somebody either has to bring it there every day, or somebody has to go collect it. And did I put something on today? You have to be physically touching it, right? You have to be on the bus or whatever. And I'm like, this is stupid. And then you don't know what somebody else has ordered, unless you're like able to look at it. And so we developed, and my buddy Saters runs it now, an app called Bus Stock app. And this is all him, but it kind of came from how we used to do things back on tour. And it's simple. It's just a way where you could take and put your requests in on the phone. You don't have to be on the bus. And every day you set your time the cutoff's at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon. So when you walk in the venue, you're like, oh shit, I forgot we need to get peanut butter on the bus. Or if you're Josiah, I need 17 cases of kombucha. And you can put it on the list. And then it's that's true, Josiah.
Maybe not 17, but it is true.
At least 16 though.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask, is like, does this give me the opportunity to put more stupid shit on the list because I'm doing it quickly on my phone than it would by like handing it to the people and having them look at you like, I'm not getting that.
Well, there's still that process. There's still that like, nah, they're not going to get this. They can ask for it. I'm not sending out for air fryer today. That's just not going to happen.
I want the nice caviar, not the cheap shit this time.
Yeah. Actually, I went on a bus last night here on our tour, and the guys have an air fryer up there. I was like, wow, that's fucking awesome. Air fryer on the bus. I never thought of that.
That is neat.
They are pretty awesome. We use ours at home all the time.
Yeah.
Are you on Green Day? Are they still out?
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, okay. That should be neat.
I'm getting my Christmas tour on.
Yeah, you are. Okay.
Awesome. I didn't realize you were doing that.
Acrevault. So you're leaving us to go do property crap. So I saw this guy made a video. He made $68,000. So that was your gig. But as a guy who has property, I do have a genuine question. My genuine question is: you seem to be focusing just on empty land. This is not a podcast about property, so we'll jump back into music. But it's a question I wanted to ask you. I don't like investing in land because I don't have any return on my investment until I sell the property. If I have a property that I rent, I have a return every month, even if I paid too much on the property. And I always liked that. So why are you so interested in land and not brick and mortar structure type stuff?
Land is kind of a unique asset class within real estate for many reasons. It's kind of been the bastard child of real estate, I think, for a long time. It's been kind of misunderstood and undervalued. And the other thing about, because it's undervalued, well, many of the people that undervalue it are owners of land themselves. And there is a lot of land out there that people are just willing to sell for, hold on one second. This is going to drive me crazy. I got to put my cat in the bathroom. Hold on.
You know, it's funny. What was the cat doing?
You have to go in here.
Was he scratching
crazy
on the door?
Yeah, she's scratching on the door, and she will like cram her head underneath the door and meow because she wants to come in here, but she just wants to come in here to like meow at me, and because it's getting close to, well, it's not even actually close to her dinner time yet, but she thinks it is. Anyways, so the thing about land is that it's undervalued by a lot of people. Most real estate agents are exceptionally bad at selling it and marketing it. So there's kind of an arbitrage opportunity there. There's also a lot of people that own land that they have inherited it. It's been passed down for generations, and so they don't have any cost basis in the property, so they're not super attached. It's not like your house where you know like exactly what it's worth.
Are you one of those guys calling me all day about buying my house?
No, I do not call.
Is that you?
No,
I got one. Actually, hold on. It's right here. This is, I don't know if you guys can see it. So this is one. It doesn't have the address. Okay. So this is one of my properties, and it's tough to see. And they sent it, are you interested in selling your house? There is a dog shitting on the front lawn.
So good. That's the best I've ever seen.
You're just sitting there eating your breakfast, and I mean, this is why this stuff works, is because people look at it, even though there's I don't care. You know, you tell the mailman, don't give me this crap, but you look at it. So I'm looking at it. There's a dog shit on the lawn.
Is that there's just the Google Street View?
I don't know.
Is that your property?
I looked through my paperwork to see if the guy had if he had pets on the lease or not.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's really funny.
I don't know, but it was a bit of
fun.
All right, back to music stuff.
Yeah. It's basically it's basically I just send letters to people, and there's just a lot of people that they want to sell. Maybe they've listed it with a realtor who did a bad job, and so they're just ready to sell it. And then what I'll do a lot of times is I'm not looking to sell it for cash. Once I buy it, I'll turn around and then sell it on like owner financing terms, because most banks won't lend on vacant land. That's the other thing. So you either it's got to be cash buyers, cash sellers, or you got to have people that are willing to sell it on, hold a mortgage, and I'm willing to do that. So that's kind of the flip side, I guess the other piece of it. So
yeah, cool, man. And that's what you're going to focus on solely, at least for now? I'm probably, real estate is what I do full time now, and the vacant land is probably where 80% of my focus goes. And then I'm also a real estate agent in Central Florida, and then like you, I do some long-term and short-term rental properties that my wife and I own. So I some of those I self-manage. I'm actually in the process of trying to find management for all the properties so that I don't have to be available. Yeah, you understand. Yeah, do it yourself. Do it yourself.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
I just that's an age-old debate, and there's a lot to be said on both sides of the argument. I think it's kind of
it's a lot of work is the thing. You left the road to inherit a hell of a job. That's what it is. It's a lot of work, but I find it rewarding. I like it. And but
why do you say do it yourself? Do you feel like you actually save money because you do a better job than the manager would?
Yeah, but it's more hey man, you need a new roof. I do. Yeah, you need a new roof. So what happens is you end up just giving them money to put a new roof on. You didn't need a new roof, man. You needed a roof repair for $200. But luckily, the guy who's the manager, his brother's a roofer. These are some of the problems that you can find. You're your own best friend. I don't know if that makes sense. If you're looking for a new tenant, they don't give a crap. They just want to stick someone in there. You're the one who cares. You're the one holding the purse strings, or So I wouldn't do it unless the person's a good friend, somebody who I have a couple people I know, and they love their management companies because they've done incredible jobs. They go in and they do the quick repairs and they don't even charge me. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So and then there's another guy I met recently. He calls the insurance company for everything. He said, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. He pays the deductible for everything, but at least it's done the right way. I'm like, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. So it's all these fun tactics. And I don't know, with property, it's bad because property people don't shut up about property. And you go on and on and on for hours. But yeah, I'm bad. I like it. So.
Zito's heard me go. I think Zito's heard me ramble quite a bit about real estate.
Yeah,
I think what's important with it is diversifying, and that's important because you just don't know where the road will lead you. And being a lifer, I've said it before, to me is like my hat's off to you. They're some of the toughest people I've ever met, mentally and physically, the whole nine, whatever you want to say. But it saddens me with some of these guys that are retiring and they have no money, and they're not getting hired for tours and stuff. That's not good. So it's diversifying, I think, when you're a bit younger, but none of this Ponzi bullshit stuff, which is unfortunately what a lot of it is now, where you just kiss it goodbye because you don't know better. That's Billy Joel. I think he made up for it though, didn't he? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he did all right in the end. So to jump back a little bit, just because I didn't ask in the beginning, how did you guys get started just in the beginning of your careers? What got you into music initially?
You go, Zito.
I played in high school, and I played a little bit of everything, and I went to school as a music major. And I remember a very distinct moment. I was always pretty technical, and so I was drawn to both sides. I could understand the technical aspect of stuff, but I also had a creative side as a musician. And I remember very distinctly being in music college, walking down the hall, and I played sax, I played a little piano, a little bass, guitar, whatever. And in the first room is this piano player, and I don't know who they were, and they're playing. I was like, fuck, they're better than me. And sitting outside the rehearsal room is this guy just fiddling around on guitar, doing some jazz stuff. I was like, damn, okay, he's better than me.
Pretty good, dude. Yeah.
And I heard this guy playing sax. I was like, shit, he's definitely better than me. And I thought, man, I could get really good at this. And then where does it go? I had a buddy the best drummer I've ever worked with, named Mike Gerbitz in Chicago. And, he's incredible, and he's got a family, he's got a normal job. He could be as pro as they get, but he's playing in bar bands and he's happy doing that. And I thought, where does this go for me? Like, as a musician, I don't know the path. You got to get lucky. Maybe you get in a band that maybe gets a song, or you become a session guy or whatever. And I couldn't see the path, and I was technically inclined, and it itched the scratch the itch of being creative when I started doing as a front of house engineer. And so I just started doing it, and I faked my way through it for many years. I was a quick learner. I was always willing to just jump in. Didn't matter if I knew what the hell I was doing. I had a lot of faith in myself. And so that was kind of my path. And I worked for small bands and worked my way up, and would bullshit my way through. Fake it till you make it is a real thing.
Yeah. That's neat. So, and in the beginning you were doing, well, you were a kid probably, so you're doing everything. Yeah.
The first band I worked for, I did everything.
What was the first band?
I worked for a band called Daniel's Window. Nobody's ever heard of them. Years and years and years and years ago.
They were like a Christian band.
Yeah, in 1999 is when I first started shows. We bought an RV, a 24-foot RV and a 27-foot trailer, carried all of our own production, light, sound, the whole thing, set it up, and it was me. I was the one crew guy. I did it all. And I loved it. Man, I was making $125 a show, no per diems, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was willing to bust my butt and do what I needed to do. And some really great memories back in those days.
That's funny. Were you playing like churches and stuff, or?
We did a lot of youth conventions and churches, and then we started doing these. I remember the first arena shows we did, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is what I want to do. Actually, I got a really funny story. My first arena show was this big youth conference, and I don't know, there's probably 7,500 people in there. And I came up to the desk to mix my band, and the engineer, this guy's name is Jeff Gallup, and he is so funny, old school guy. And he says to me, at sound check, hey, have you ever mixed in an arena before? I said, no, this is my first time. He's like, let me give you some pointers. It's like, okay, I'll take whatever you can give me, right? And so he gives me his pointers. We do sound check, and it comes a little later, and we're doing the show. And I get like a minute into the first song, and he goes, hey, there's a problem with the PA. I need you to run up there. I need you to run up to the right side. And I'm losing the amps. And I was like, oh, okay. So I take off running, right? So I'm running there, but it's GA floor, and I can't wig my way through. And I get all the way up there, and I get up there, and there's one of the audio guys. And I was like, Jeff said there's a problem with the amps. And they're like, there's no problem. Everything looks fine. I was like, And so I turned around to go run back. I was like, I'm not running through there. So I ran all the way around the bottom in the arena, came out through front of house. I'm like, Jeff, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the right side of the PA. He goes, stage right. I said, stage right. I was like, So I take off. I run all the way around the arena, come to the stage right side, and go up there, and I go up to the PA tech, and I was like, hey, Jeff said there's a problem with the amps. And they're like, there's no problem with the amps. I was like, what the heck? So I run back there as my band's finishing their last song, and I walk up at the very tail end of the song. I was like, they said they're fine. He goes, oh, I don't know what's going on. We became friends over the years. And years later, it finally dawned on me that I was butchering my mix so bad in the arena that he couldn't take it. He's like, I got to get this kid out of here. What a play, man. What a play. We laugh our asses off when we reminisce about that story.
What other do you guys have any other good like wind-ups, any show like shenanigans, smart ass shit from any of the tours?
Josiah, you remember China?
The McDonald's?
Yeah. Especially with One Republic, these guys, I've never seen anybody tour the way they tour. We had 3 rigs, an A, B, and a C rig that would leapfrog all around the world. And we did a show in Boston on a Saturday, and we were in Turkey on Sunday. I mean, That's the kind of stuff we did all the time. And it took a lot of logistics for us to pull that stuff off. And we were constantly in a state of exhaustion, right? Like getting little sleep on the plane, wherever it is. And, one of the keys of touring is to take the sleep when you can get it. Rack out in the chair, rack out. And Josiah is a professional sleeper. This guy can find a spot anywhere and he's out, right? He is out. And when he's out, he sleeps. So with Josiah's propensity for food and his sleeping, he passed out in China on the couch, and our meal for the day was McDonald's. I sent out for McDonald's and came back with like 50 burgers and fries and nuggets. So we proceeded to stack it all over Josiah's body and cover him head to toe in stacks of burgers on his face and on his chest and everywhere. We're just stacking these things up, and he's just, and then he wakes up, and he had the best response. He wakes up and all these burgers and nuggets fall over him, and he goes, he just starts laughing like a fool. It was absolutely hilarious.
And you smelled good now too.
Smelled like Mickey D's.
Yeah, he had his snack and he went right back to sleep. It was impressive.
It definitely smelled better than the black mold in our dressing room. That's for sure.
Oof.
Yeah.
So you can sleep sitting up on an airplane?
What's that?
You can sleep sitting up on an airplane?
Not really that well. Like a couple hours, and then I'm awake. It's for me. It's like that first. I'm really good at the first like 3 hours of being asleep. That's how I can like take a nap, with my feet up on the guitar vault for 20 minutes or whatever. I can just pass out hard, and then I'm good at power napping as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can do the power nap, but I need to be in a bunk. I need to be in a bed, or I got to be sleeping flat, and then I'm
the chair nap. And Josiah is the one that taught me the 30-minute power nap that you start by drinking a cold shot of double espresso. Mm-hmm. So right before you go to take your nap, cold shot of double espresso. You rack out at about the 25-minute mark. That caffeine's hitting your system as you're coming out of your nap, and it's just like launches you into like, wow, I feel awesome.
Yep. No sleep hangover when you do that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Putting your feet up too. I learned that from I listened to Jocko Willink's podcast quite a bit, and he talked about that's like he learned that in the Navy SEALs or whatever, that lay down 10 minutes with your feet elevated. It really kind of just leaves you feeling even more recharged. That's another one for me.
I take my shoes
How
off.
high do your feet need to be?
Just above your heart.
Huh.
Above your heart. Yeah. And my wife has explained this to my wife's a yoga teacher, and there's a lot of restorative postures in yoga where you're elevating your feet against a wall or on like a pillow or something like that. And you do feel good, feel really good putting your feet up for a few minutes, especially because you know how it is on tour. It's like we're on our feet. I mean, how many days have you guys looked at, like, if you ever did like the step count thing, how many days do you think you had 25,000, 30,000 steps, you know?
Yeah. All the time.
I'm before
you're walking like 12 miles, you know.
15. Yeah. On TSO here, it's got a grind. The schedule's a grind, and I'm averaging about 27,000 steps a day. So it's just around 15 miles a day on concrete in arenas. Yeah. So tough on your legs though.
Yeah.
Good shoes.
Don't you guys do like matinee shows? Don't you do like 2 gig?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. So we'll do five show days in a week, 2 days on, 2 days off, 5 days on, and 3 of those 5 will be matinee performances. So 2 shows a day.
Oh, but you get 2 days off in a row?
Monday and Tuesday, typically, yeah. And then we'll do shows Wednesday through Sunday. The only exception being the holidays, like this week's Thanksgiving. So we'll work Wednesday, have Thanksgiving Day off, and then work Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Well, this is their go time, though. Those guys, this is their time to make.
Yeah, you got a short window.
Yeah.
Yep.
What'd you get you going, Josiah?
I just loved music growing up. I was obsessed. I think at one point I had probably 2,000 or 3,000 CDs and records. I was just obsessed. And
Were they all One Republic?
No, a lot of it was there was a lot of bad hardcore and punk rock in there for sure. But
that's the stuff
I was just really into it and was going to shows all the time, and then eventually got like a part-time gig at the State Theater in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I started working there part-time as a stagehand, and then eventually just all the venues around Tampa Bay I was working as a stagehand. And that was how I found out that I didn't know that you could make a living, you know, touring. That I didn't even realize it until I became a stagehand, and then it was like, wait, what are all these guys doing that I'm like, you know, I'm meeting the backline techs and stuff. And and then my first gig was I did some tours before, but the first real gig was working for this band called Copeland from Lakeland, Florida, and very, very good like indie rock band. And that was like 2005. It was a support we were main support for the starting line.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really fun tour. And then I just kept doing it after that, you know. And then I sold merch for a while, but mostly I pretty much was always just a backline tech, like mostly guitars and keyboards, occasionally drums. But yeah, I did it then, and then I never looked back until.
How'd you get into the violin tech thing?
That was just so my buddy Eric Jackson, I don't know if you guys know Eric. He's been the tour manager for Lindsay Stirling for a long time. And actually Eric and I go back we toured on Copeland together back then. Oh. And they only have like one backline tech basically to do the drums, the keys, the guitars, and then the violin, which is definitely the most important part because that's Lindsay. That was part of it. But it was, if you know guitars, it's not like I was building I wasn't functioning as like a luthier on the road or something like that. And most of her violins are electric, which those are very easy to work on. She only had one acoustic violin on the tour. But that was really fun. She was one of the coolest people I've ever worked for. It's a really good gig out there, really good crew of people.
Is it weird to be the tech because no one's asking you for guitar picks? You're kind of
yeah. There was actually the one tour I did with her was it was a Christmas tour, and I don't even know if there was any guitars. I think it was like drums, keyboards, and then her like 5 violins and a lot of props. I was doing a lot of like props, and it was a fun tour. If you guys ever get a chance to work for Lindsay Stirling, I'd highly recommend. It was really good camp.
Cool. Okay, so when I was first going to put this podcast together, I was at my buddy's house, and his daughter's in 5th grade, and she was with her little 5th grade friends, and they collectively came up with a question that they said I should ask every guest. It's been a really good one. I like the answers to it thus far. And the question is, when was the first time you felt famous? So if fame is not the avenue you want to take, that's fine. What would be a moment in your careers that, I don't know, made you smile, something pivotal, something worth saying?
Zito, you got to go first.
So, I've toured for 22 years and always loved sort of being in the shadows. Last year, pandemic hits, my wife and I started doing cinnamon rolls and baking cinnamon rolls. We ended up selling 40,000 cinnamon rolls, raising $36,000 for Music Cares. And it was crazy because the buzz was huge around us. We were on all sorts of podcasts and TV shows, and we were on Kelly Clarkson, and we were on all these different platforms. People coming and doing interviews with us. And it was, we were in Forbes, right? Doing an interview for Forbes. Wow, and here I am having worked to get to the pinnacle of my touring career, and it's Forbes for a cinnamon roll bakery in the Kelly Clarkson show. And nobody cares about it. Everybody wants to know about the secret of my buns, right? So that was very funny. And
you're like, I just like cinnamon.
Nashville. Yeah. We go around and people will recognize me. Wait, are you the cinnamon roll man? Like, for real. We've had people send us desserts at restaurants and stuff. So the fame has never been from the thing that I've done for the last 22 years and work around celebrities. It's been because I can freaking bake.
That's awesome. So whose recipe is it? Is it grandma's or something like that? Or you made it?
Mine. Yeah.
Good on you.
Yep. I was baking a lot, and I made them for Easter. They were good, and so we started selling them, and it exploded. They were really good, but we were making like 1,700 to 2,000 a weekend. I mean, it was a high volume operation. It's a lot of work.
So you're selling at weekend convention things? What do you call them? Farmers markets. You're selling at farmers markets?
Yeah, some farmers markets. We were selling them direct to consumer. Everybody pre-ordered, and so they ordered through our website, and then we would do various pickups around Nashville.
That's crazy. Where were you baking them all?
We moved into a commercial bakery. So I went from our house where we were doing like 600 a weekend, and that was the max capacity we could do. And we moved into a commercial space, which was really cool to get to be around all these other, professionals doing what they've always done. And here we are as the new kids. We had no clue what we were doing in there. And they were very gracious to help us because, that volume is huge, doing those kind of numbers, and they couldn't get their head around it. And I remember them looking like, and we saw it too, because we were there for 9 months in that commercial kitchen. And you'd see people come in for 1 or 2 weeks and they never come again. And you can always tell the new ones that come in, they don't know what they're doing. They're making a mess. They're in everybody's way. They haven't learned the flow of it, right? That was definitely us. And everybody's like, who the hell are these guys? They make cinnamon rolls.
Josiah
They won't
on
be
his
here
first 5 tours.
First 10 tours.
First 10. Oh, no. So are you still making them or no?
No, we shut it down once touring started back up.
Wow. So you're going to be like the McDonald's McRib. They'll be hitting you up to do seasonal baking.
It was a year ago now. Was one of our biggest weeks for Thanksgiving. So I've been having all the memories pop up in my timeline from a year ago where we were doing these crazy days. It's crazy.
Wow. Do you think you'll start it up again? Don't know, or no?
No, that was something that was a point in time we probably won't go back to.
Hell of a lot of work.
Yeah, hell of a lot of that. I say there's no dough in cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, so when did you first feel famous? Sorry, was that it? Was that the cinnamon rolls?
Yeah. And
Okay.
never touring. It's always the cinnamon rolls.
I got wrapped up into the cinnamon rolls. I forgot the question for a second. The little 5-year-old girl stuck in the head. Sorry. All right, Josiah, you had time to think about it. What's your answer?
I actually wasn't thinking about it. I was listening to Zito's story, but
I totally didn't expect that. That's neat. I went to one of them. So my sponsor is Misha's Cheese, and they make a vegan, non-dairy cheese. And so they have a place, like you said, and it was amazing. I went there for the day, and it's all these kitchens, and everybody's running around, all this crazy shit, and they all share the same freezer. So in the freezers, just piles of Josiah, you'd be in heaven. There's more fucking food in this freezer than you've ever seen. It was so neat. And then there's people like, you want to try this to see if you like it? And I'm kind of like, oh yeah. And you're trying all these things like, oh, that one's good. That one, it was great. I loved it. Just the sheer quantity too. And the full production.
That was how I gained 20 pounds in 5 months from everybody else. Hey, try this. I made this. You want to try our new, salad or whatever? And you're like, geez, like next thing you know, it's all day. Of course, you got to taste your own product too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of cinnamon rolls. So what's worse, pizza or cinnamon rolls?
If you knew the amount of butter and sugar that went into a cinnamon roll, I can guarantee definitely the cinnamon roll is worse.
You'll eat after show pizza though?
Yeah, it's challenging. This is something you work these long days, we're in it at 5 a.m, sometimes 4 a.m. on big tours, and you're getting on the bus at 1 or 2. Eat your breakfast early, eat lunch at noon, eat dinner is at 6 o'clock, and hours you're still up and you work, you're loading out, you're doing high energy, getting everything loaded out, you're wired, you're starving because you just busted your butt. It's impossible to not do something. So you just got to try to make the best choices you can,
Yeah, well, fair enough. All right, Josiah, what you got?
When did I first feel famous? Trying to think. I'm sure there's probably something. Well, I'll just go with the most it's probably not the first time, but it's the most recent. It's unrelated to touring, but it's that podcast that you listened to that I was on. That was real trippy because that's like, I've been listening to that podcast for years. It's like one of my favorite real estate podcasts, and then I got to be a guest on it. And there's probably like, I don't even know if 1,000 people listened to that episode, but it was like, to me, in my little world, it was like, whoa, this is crazy,
That's neat.
Yeah. It was cool because I was doing like that deal that we talked about in that episode was, that was a home run. It was a lot of work to get that deal done, but I used to tour for 30 weeks or something like that to make that amount to clear the amount of money I made off that deal, so that was like a big
come up.
That was yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
grab them when you can, for sure.
Yeah. Actually, I also felt it was fun. My last show with One Republic, man, I don't know if you saw Zito, they really like did it up for me. They it was cool, man. Like, it was totally.
I'm sad I missed it.
Man, I wish you could have been there. That would have been fun if you were there. Yeah, it was. That was crazy because I just didn't expect. I don't know. I just didn't expect anything, and then it was like they did like a big dinner for me when we were doing rehearsals in LA, and then brought me out on stage. And actually, it was really funny. Ryan, my favorite moment from that night. Ryan, I don't know why he got it in his head that I had a kid, and you'll love this because it's such a Ryan moment. He's like telling the audience that I'm like, I'm a father, I've got a kid at home, whatever. And and I have no kids. And so they're bringing me out on the stage, and Drew Brown, just in total like Drew fashion, he's giving me a big hug, and just goes, man, congratulations on your kid, bro.
It's like family. They know you so well.
Oh my God, it's so good. But that was really cool. I felt
Super
kind of
cool.
famous there, getting dragged on stage. Yeah, that was fun.
Right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for it. If you have any other last stories, you're welcome to tell them. But...
Yeah, I want to share one thing, and it's actually
Yeah.
kind of a serious, not a serious note, but I want to share something that I was thinking about with Josiah, because it's kind of a unique thing here, right? You got Josiah, who's a backline guy, and me as a production manager, and I hire and have hired Josiah on a bunch of stuff, and Josiah is one of my first call guys. But I'll tell you what, something that people can take away, that Josiah has really impressed me over the years, because of anybody that's ever worked for me, I've seen the most amount of desire to learn and desire to improve himself, both on and off the job, right? Not just how he can be better at what his job is, but his entire life. And that is amazing to me. And he always took criticism in the way that I intended it, is learning. It was never, I mean, we bust balls because that's what you do on the tour. But if I could go just sign and say, hey man, there's a problem here, I need you to work on this, or hey, you need to kind of step it up here, whatever it was. There was never a defensive thing with him. It was never like, well, it was like, I hear you, let me process it. And it was never a thing. He always took it to heart. He always learned from it. And it was never ever like, he understood that it was never a personal attack. It was never like, you suck, you're that bad at what you do. It was always like, here's an area where you can improve. And I love that about him. And more than anybody that's ever worked on one of my crews, he's exemplified that. And I say that to encourage other people too, like, take it to heart, learn from it. It never, Josiah was really good at separating out his life. It wasn't like, well, this makes me a shitty person, or I suck, or, it was always like, yeah, this is my job and this is how I can improve at it. And the personal thing was the personal thing. And I just love his attitude with that. And I think that was something that really impressed me about him. And I admired and have actually learned from him in taking that to heart. How can I be better at my job? How can I, learn from the people around me, asking my peers, what can I do better? My crew, hey, do you like how we did this? Could I do anything better? It's a really cool thing. It's a lot of maturity to be able to do that.
Cool.
I appreciate that, Zito. Thank you.
Yeah, those are nice words.
I'm glad I did. It's funny how, like, I almost didn't do that New Kids tour because I had something else going on. And it's funny to think how, like, just taking one, like, it wasn't a one-off, but like a pretty short little thing, like, it's funny how, like, one thing like that can totally change your life. Because if I hadn't done that, I'm sure I would have met you at some point, but I might have not ended up working. I ended up working for OneRepublic for like almost like 7 years because of doing that gig and meeting you. And it's crazy how the industry works like that. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that is neat.
Yeah,
connections. It's the Road family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the property in your website? Acrevault.com. What do I have to gain there? What's if I want to sell my property, I should hit you up? Does it have to be in Florida? What are you looking for?
No,
Will you trade a property for cinnamon buns?
Yeah, if I'll fire it back up, just don't give me one of that piece of swampland though. I'm not taking no Florida swampland. I know how you guys do it down there.
Do I charge extra for the crocodiles?
Man, I've learned all about swampland in the last year, let me tell you. No, yeah, I do. I buy, like, right now we have properties under contract in Florida, Alabama, Texas, California, Arizona. So we're sending mail to a lot of different states and just kind of seeing what's out there. There's a lot of land out there. There's a lot of property. And now I think with because of COVID and you know, obviously, I mean, everybody knows that it's a lot more people are working from home, right? And you're able to, it's just a lot more feasible to work remotely. And I think there's a lot of other trends, you know, when, what's it called? Starlink, like when that's up, from Elon Musk's thing, like the satellites they've been launching.
Satellite internet. Yep.
I mean, that's going to be, I mean, imagine now or not now, but soon it's going to be possible you could live in rural Montana or rural anywhere where, you know, right now there's barely a decent internet connection available, and eventually you're going to have high speed internet available in those places. And so it's going to make that lifestyle for the people that want it more attainable, more reasonable to live that way. But yeah, so we're buying and selling, well, not all over yet, but we will eventually, you know, but mainly focusing on Florida and Texas, just because they're hot markets. You know, there's a lot of demand in both these states right now. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
What about you? Sorry, what did you say, Joseph?
Oh, I was just, Acrevault is where I sell. You could contact me there if you have property you want to sell, but Acrevault is where I have a couple properties up there for sale right now. But yeah, if you want to check it out, give me a call.
Cool, I saw that. And you're working on other apps, right, Zito?
Right now, actually, I'm focusing. Yeah, the baking app. No, right now, I'm focused on touring, man. I'm gonna gig my butt off, try to make up for lost time last year. Taking anything I can. If you want a Polestar nominated production manager, you can find me at 1-800-HOT-ZITO. Yeah,
you should have that number.
I like being on the road.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I really do appreciate your time. I look forward to talking to you both real soon.
Yeah.
And thank you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe by clicking the round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or the guests on the show, go to joelrohde.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle's Joel Rohde. And don't forget, when you party like a rock star, don't be a dick.